Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Radha Madhava ki jai, Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Hare Krishna. Today we are starting the Janmashtami Katha. It's the first day of Katha in anticipation of Shri Krishna Janmashtami, which is next Tuesday, if I'm correct. So there is no shloka. Actually, I wanted shloka written on board, but somehow they couldn't do it. Anyway, I'll read myself. It's from 10th canto, final chapter of Srimad Bhagavatam, 19th chapter, shloka 48, just a few shlokas before the end. Chapter is entitled The Summary of Lord Krishna's Glories. This is quite famous shloka. Maybe some of you know. If you know, you can try to repeat. 1090-48. Those who have gadgets, they can look. Jayati janani vaso devaki janma vado. Tati janani vaso devaki janma vado. Yaduvara parishatsvair dorbirasyana dharmam. Yaduvara parishatsvair dorbirasyana dharmam. Stirachara vrijinagna susmita shri mukhena. Stirachara vrijinagna susmita shri mukhena. Rajapura vanitanam vardayankama devam. Rajapura vanitanam vardayankama devam. Jayati janani vaso devaki janma vado. Jati janani vaso devaki janma vado. Yaduvara parishatsvair dorbirasyana dharmam. Duvara parishatsvair dorbiras. Stirachara vrijinagna susmita shri mukhena. Stirachara vrijinagna susmita shri mukhena. Rajapura vanitanam vardayankama devam. Japura vanitanam vardayankama devam. Translation. Translation is actually taken from Srila Prabhupada's translation of Chaitanya Charitamrita, and most of the purport is from the Krishna book. Part of it is by disciples of Srila Prabhupada. So translation. Lord Shri Krishna is He who is known as Jananivasa, the ultimate resort of all living entities, and who is also known as Devaki Nandan or Yashoda Nandan, the son of Devaki and Yashoda. He is the guide of the Yadu dynasty, and in his mighty arms he kills everything inauspicious, as well as every man who is impious. By his presence he destroys all things inauspicious for all living entities, moving and inert. His blissful smiling face always increases the lusty desires of the gopis of Vrindavan. May he be all glorious and happy. Purport. The translation and word meaning for this verse are taken from Srila Prabhupada's English rendering of Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Lila, 13th chapter, Sloka 79. According to Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakur, Srila Shukadeva Goswami has composed this beautiful verse to console those who lament the fact that Lord Krishna did not continue to manifest his intimate pastimes down to the present time. Here, Sri Shukadeva reminds his listeners that the Lord is eternally present in this world, in his holy abode, his name, and the recitation of his glories. This idea is expressed by the word Jayati, he is victorious, which is the present tense rather than the past. Srila Prabhupada explains this verse as follows in Krishna. Srila Shukadeva Goswami thus concludes his description of the super exalted position of Lord Krishna by glorifying him in the following way. O Lord Krishna, all glories unto you. You are present in everyone's heart as Paramatma. Therefore, you are known as Jananivas, one who lives in everyone's heart. As confirmed in the Bhagavad Gita, Ishvara Sarva Bhutanam Hrideshe Arjuna Tishtati. The Supreme Lord in his Paramatma feature lives within everyone's heart. This does not mean, however, that Krishna has no separate existence as the Supreme Personality of Godhead. The Mayavadi philosophers accept the all-pervading feature of Parabrahman, but when Parabrahman or the Supreme Lord appears, they think that he appears under the control of material nature. Because Lord Krishna appeared as the son of Devaki, the Mayavadi philosophers accept Krishna to be an ordinary living entity who takes birth within this material world. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami warns them, Devaki Janma Bhada, which means that although Krishna is famous as the son of Devaki, actually he is the super soul, or the all-pervading Supreme Personality of Godhead. The devotees, however, take this word, Devaki Janma Bhada, in a different way. The devotees understand that actually Krishna was the son of Mother Yashoda. Although Krishna first appeared as the son of Devaki, he immediately transferred himself to the lap of Mother Yashoda, and his childhood pastimes were blissfully enjoyed by Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. This fact was admitted by Vasudeva himself when he met Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda at Kurukshetra. He admitted that Krishna and Balaram were actually the sons of Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj. Vasudeva and Devaki were only their official father and mother. Their actual father and mother were Nanda and Yashoda. Therefore, Shukadeva Goswami describes Lord Krishna as Devaki Janma Bhada. Shukadeva Goswami then glorifies the Lord as one who is honored by the Yadavara Parishad, the assembly house of the Yadu dynasty, and as the killer of different kinds of demons. Krishna, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, could have killed all the demons by employing his different material energies, but he wanted to kill them personally to give them salvation. There was no need of Krishna's coming to this material world to kill the demons. Simply by his willing, many hundreds and thousands of demons could have been killed without his personal endeavor. But actually, he descended for his pure devotees to play as a child with Mother Yashoda and Nanda Maharaj and to give pleasure to the inhabitants of Dwaraka. By killing the demons and giving protection to the devotees, Lord Krishna established the real religious principle, which is simply love of God. By following the factual religious principle of love of God, even the living entities known as Tirachara were also delivered of all material contamination and transferred to the spiritual kingdom. Stira means the trees and plants which cannot move, and Chara means the moving animals, especially the cows. When Krishna was present, he delivered all the trees, monkeys and other plants and animals who happened to see him and serve him, both in Vrindavan and Dwaraka. Lord Krishna is especially glorified for giving pleasure to the gopis and the queens of Dwaraka. Shukadeva Goswami glorifies Lord Krishna for his enchanting smile, by which he enchanted not only the gopis of Vrindavan, but also the queens of Dwaraka. The exact words used in this connection are Vardhan Kama Devam. In Vrindavan, as the boyfriend of many gopis, and in Dwaraka as the husband of many queens, Krishna increased their lusty desires to enjoy with him. For God realization or self-realization, one generally has to undergo severe austerities and penances for many, many thousands of years, and then it may be possible to realize God. But the gopis and the queens of Dwaraka, simply by enhancing their lusty desires to enjoy Krishna as their boyfriend or husband, receive the highest type of salvation. In this way, Srila Prabhupada wonderfully illuminates the meaning of this verse by Shukadeva Goswami, which summarizes Lord Krishna's pastimes. Shloka once more. Lord Shri Krishna is he who is known as Jananivas, the ultimate resort of all living entities, and who is also known as Devaki Nanda or Yashoda Nandan, the son of Devaki and Yashoda. He is the guide of the Yadu dynasty, and with his mighty arms he kills everything inauspicious, as well as every man who is impious. By his presence, he destroys all things inauspicious for all living entities, moving and inert. His blissful smiling face always increases the lusty desires of the gopis of Vrindavan. May he be glorious and happy. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Namo Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Shrimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswati Deve Ghoravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Shunyavadi Pashtradesh Tarine. He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Dina Bandhu Jagapate Gopesha Gopika Kantar Hada Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gorangir Hade Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye. Namo Mahavadanyaya Krishna Prema Pradayate Krishna Krishna Chaitanya Namne Gorat Vishe Namaha. Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Shivasadi Ghora Bhakta Vrinda. Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So Janmashtami is approaching in just 1 week, and I thought it's a good time for little introspection. What does this festival actually means to us? In India it's a public holiday, but it's just a public holiday or something more? It's a temple festival, difficult fasting day that we are not really looking forward to, fasting till midnight? Is it like a birthday of some Facebook friend that you get a notification and you don't even know him? Is it appearance of some distant god from Goloka whom we are a little afraid of and we have followed the rules not to be punished? Or perhaps it's a birthday of somebody who is very close and dear to us, our most intimate friend. So the significance of Janmashtami for us will depend on our relationship with Krishna. Who Krishna actually is to us personally. Not who Krishna is on the pages of a book. Theory is always there. He's a Supreme Personality of Godhead. We know that very well. But what is Krishna to us? How much He is present in our daily life? So these are the things that we should ask ourselves to and meditate during this 1 week before Janmashtami. And let us for a moment look what Krishna is on the pages of Srimad Bhagavatam. In the 8th canto, 24th chapter, King Satyavrata, he prays to Lord Matsya avatar during the partial devastation. The king with all the sages and brahmanas and rishis and plants and animals was on the boat, and Lord Matsya, he was sailing the boat across the ocean of devastation. During that time, King Satyavrata, he offered one prayer. He says, Tam sarva lokasya sukhrit priyeshvara. He says, "Oh my Lord, you are the supreme well-wishing friend of everyone, the dearmost friend and the controller." Sukhrit means well-wishing friend of everyone. Hyatma gurur jnanam abhishtasidi. You are also the super soul, the supreme instructor, the giver of supreme knowledge and the fulfillment of all desires. Tatapi loko nabhavantam antadir janati shantam hridibandha kama. But although you are within the heart, the foolish, because of lusty desires in the heart, they cannot understand you. Srila Vishwanath Thakur gives a very innovative interpretation of this shloka. He shows how actually all the different relationships with Krishna are illustrated in this verse. He says that this word sukhrit, or friend, indicates the Sakhya rasa. And Ishvara indicates dasya. Priya, which means dear, dearest, indicates madhurya. And then the Atma indicates shantaras, neutrality. And Guru indicates dasya rasa. And the child, in the cases of Krishna's children in Dwaraka, indicates vatsalya. And also impersonal Brahman is indicated by words jnana. There is no bhava in a realization of personal Brahman. And also abhishta seed indicates those who are karmis, who want their material desires fulfilled by the Lord. So everybody in this world is searching for some rasa. In all activities we are searching for some taste, for some mellow, for some flavor, for some sentiment, for some emotion that will fulfill us and that will give some meaning and some juice to our life. Otherwise everything would be so dry without that rasa that we are looking for. But when the object of our taste, of our rasa, is something other than Krishna, then it's called material life and material rasa. But after many lifetimes of trying to enjoy that material rasa, and when we are not able anymore to find any juice in that, then we can turn to Krishna and find out actually that Krishna is the rasa personified. Upanishads say raso vai saha. Rasa is a person, it's a Krishna. He is Akila Rasamrita Murti. He is a fountainhead of all rasas. And he reciprocates in accordance with the desire of individual souls. Those who want to have him as their master, he is the perfect master. Those who want him as a friend, he is the perfect friend. Those who want him as the lover, he is the perfect lover. And also those who want him to become their son, he is the perfect son. So, Lord is the object of love, and that's called Vishaya. And devotee, he is the shelter of love, called Ashraya. But regardless of the rasa particular soul has with the Lord, there is one particular characteristic of the Lord that is very important. In all circumstances, he is our well-wisher, well-wishing friend. He is a sukhrit. Always, for all times, he is a sukhrit. And also, for the jiva, interesting characteristic of the jiva, regardless of the rasa, that jiva is eternal servant of Krishna, Nitya Krishna Das. He is a servant even in Madhurya rasa, in Vatsalya rasa, in Dasya rasa, in Sakhya rasa. Jiva is a servant. So similarly, the Lord is always well-wishing friend and the best friend. So in connection to Lord's appearance in this world, we can ask, why is Lord appearing? So we know, yada yada hi dharmasya glanir bhavati bharata. He comes to re-establish the religious principles. And Srila Prabhupada very nicely in this purport that we read, he says, Lord Krishna established the real religious principle, which is simply love of God. There are many so-called religious principles that come in the realm of dharma, karma, artha, and moksha. But the real religious principle is simply love of God. And the Lord bestowed this love of God even to sthirachara living entities, even to inert living entities like trees and plants, to moving animals, to everybody he came in contact with. So they learned this religious principle of love of God, and by loving Krishna, they were all delivered. So how this religious principle of love of God can be established? Can it be established by some declaration that only this religious principle is allowed, no other principles are allowed? Can it be established by force? Obviously not. Love is something that cannot be forced. It's not something you can impose on people. Love comes naturally from the heart. So instead of forcing it on conditioned souls, Lord comes and He displays His charming, beautiful pastimes in order to attract us, to attract our heart, to awaken that love naturally and spontaneously within. He displays the variety of loving relationships in different races in order that we could be attracted to some relation with Him and aspire to serve Him in that relationship with love. So in other words, He is establishing this religious principle of love of God by stealing the hearts of conditioned souls, by stealing the minds and hearts. So how did He start to steal the hearts? From the very early age, He started by stealing butter, if we remember. As soon as He started to walk, He started His butter stealing pastimes. He would break the storage of Mother Yashoda, eat as much butter as possible, distribute it to the monkeys, break the pot, scatter everything. And of course, Mother Yashoda would catch him from time to time, and she was observing him silently. Sometimes he would see himself, a reflection of himself in the jeweled pillar, and he would see another boy there, and then he would be very scared and tell him, "Brother, please do not tell mother anything. We will share this butter and we'll both enjoy it together." Sometimes Mother Yashoda would catch him with his small hand dipped in the pot of butter, and then when he would notice her, he would pull the hand out and run crying to her, "Mama, Mommy, the ruby bangles on my hand, they were burning my wrist, so I had to dip it in the butter to cool it down." So in this way, he was making various excuses. And of course, he would break in the storage rooms of all the gopis, elderly gopis of Vrindavan. And they would pretend to be disturbed, but actually they were very happy that he was stealing butter from them. They would all complain to Mother Yashoda, "Your son, he's breaking and stealing our butter. He's teasing our children. He's distributing butter to monkeys. He's creating chaos. What will he do when he becomes a little older?" They were charmed by these pastimes, but just for the sake of fun, they would complain to Mother Yashoda. And Krishna would be there, and he would be listening, and then start crying and tell them, "No, no, Mom, this is not true. They're all liars. They're all lying." Mother Yashoda wouldn't say anything while the gopis were there, but once they were gone, she would try to instruct him, "My dear son, this is not very good. Actually, all this butter is yours. Why do you need to steal?" But Krishna would steal anyway, not because he was hungry and greedy for butter, but he was hungry for the love of all these elderly gopis. Once Mother Yashoda was sitting with the other elderly gopis discussing something, and Krishna came crying. He uncovered Yashoda's head, untied her braid, and tapped her on the back to attract her attention. At that time, all the gopis noticed him, so they took him on a lap and asked him, "Hey Lala, why are you crying? What do you need?" And he says, "I want freshly churned condensed butter." and he pointed to the moon. What do you mean freshly churned condensed butter? I want it. Give me, I want to play with it. But Lala, this is not freshly churned condensed butter. This is Rajahamsa. This is a royal swan gliding over the sky. You cannot have it. No way that you can have it. But he would continue crying, I want it. I want to play with this Rajahamsa. Please give it to me. And then some other gopis will say, hey Vatsa, they're lying to you. This is not actually Rajahamsa. This is moon. It's called Chandra. But we cannot give it to you. It's a celestial body. And he would continue crying, okay, give me this moon. I want to play with it. Finally, Mother Yashoda would take him on her lap and tell him, oh darling, this is actually not Rajahamsa. It's not a moon. It's a freshly condensed butter. But I cannot give it to you because it has these poisonous spots. You see the spots on the moon? They're poisonous. That's why I cannot give it to you. Oh mother, how come this condensed butter has these poisonous spots? Because it was created in churning of the ocean of milk. Ocean of milk? How many cows are needed to make this ocean of milk? Oh Lala, this ocean is not made by the cows. It's made by the Supreme Lord who created many, many cows. Really, mother? Are you lying to me? Is this true? Yes, it is true, my dear darling. This ocean was created by the Lord who is the controller and super soul of everybody. But I cannot show him to you. Mother, you must be lying to me. You cannot show him to me? And he himself was that same Lord. So the demigods and demons, they were churning this ocean of milk, using Mandara mountain as the big churning rod, and they used the Vasuki as a rope. Oh, did they churn the milk in the same way as the gopis do? Yes, Lala, exactly in the same way. So during this churning, this poison was created, but Lord Shiva drank it, but some of the poison fell, and that's why we have all these snakes and other poisonous living entities like scorpions. And some of that poison also fell on the moon, and that's why the moon has these dark spots. That's why I cannot give it to you. Okay, Mama, okay, Mother. So slowly Krishna would fall asleep, and Mother Yashoda would take him to the bed. In the morning he would wake up, and Mother Yashoda would bring him immediately, after washing his hand and mouth, some fresh churned yogurt, some butter, some milk. But he would refuse to eat. Mother, I don't want to take anything, because yesterday you lied to me. You were telling me about this Rajahamsa and condensed butter, but you didn't give it to me. That's why I went to bed hungry, and now I don't want to eat anything. In this way, by these childish pastimes, he actually charmed the hearts of all residents of Vrindavan. He used to play in the courtyard in front of Mother Yashoda's house and chase small calves. Sometimes he would catch the calf, put him on his lap and kiss him. Sometimes the calf would run around and pull him. He would hold on the tail of the calf, and the calf would pull him on the ground. At other times he would play with the children of similar age. This is age between 2 and 5, Kumara age, what we call toddler. And sometimes together they would build clay castles made of mud, different towns and villages just made of mud. And demigods, in amazement and perplexion, they would watch from the sky. The supreme controller who created so many universes has no other business than to play and build some mud castles. This was something very difficult to understand. And when he got a little older, Krishna would go to the forest and play, first herding cows, then cows. And of course he would go with his cowherd boyfriends. And there they enjoyed variety of blissful pastimes. They would steal each other's lunch. When one boy would understand that his lunch was taken away, he would cry, but the boys would throw from one to another and further to distant place. And when the boy would start crying so much, they would return it to him. At other times, Krishna would go to some distant place to see the beauty of the forest, and all other boys, they would run after him, each one of them saying, I would be the first one to touch Krishna. I shall touch Krishna first. So in this way, they enjoy life by touching Krishna. Some boys, they would blow their flutes, other bugles. Some would imitate buzzing the bumblebees. Other would imitate the voice of cuckoos and other birds. Some boys would imitate flying birds, running after birds' shadows on the ground. Some would imitate the movements of the swans. Some would sit down like ducks and imitate ducks sitting very silently. And some would dance like peacocks. Some other boys, they would climb the trees and imitate young monkeys, jumping from the trees and making faces like monkeys do. Some boys would go to the waterfalls in a river, and crossing the river, they were jumping like frogs. And when they would say their own reflection in the water, they would laugh. They will also condemn the sounds of their own voices, of echoes. In this way, they enjoy blissful life. And our aspiration that one day we can join this beautiful, charming pastimes that the Lord displayed in order to attract us, to attract our hearts. But now I would like to return to this theme, how Krishna is well-wishing friend of his devotees. Actually, if you see the list of Krishna's 64 qualities, this is 39 quality, that he is a Suhrit, well-wisher of his devotees. And this quality is displayed, Srila Prabhupada describes in Nectar of Devotion, at the time when Bhishmadev was lying on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, and when Krishna came personally with the 5 Pandavas at the time of his departure. So at that time, Bhishmadev, he remembers how during the battle of Kurukshetra, Krishna was forced by him to break his promise. Actually, he was not forced. He did it out of love for his devotee. On that particular day, Bhishmadev, he fought so valiantly that he destroyed Arjuna's chariot, and Arjuna's life was threatened. He was about to be killed. And Krishna, before the battle of Kurukshetra, he promised he will not fight. He will just be a chariot driver. And those days when Kshatriya promises something, it's something that you cannot break it. It's something that if you break it, all your reputation will be gone. But Krishna, he didn't mind breaking his promise because more important for him was his love for his devotee Arjuna. So when Arjuna was in danger, Krishna picked up the veil, and with that veil, like a lion, he started running, rushing towards the Bhishmadev. At that moment, Bhishmadev, he dropped his weapons and watched in amazement that beautiful sight of Partha Sarathi approaching him, waiting for Krishna to kill him. But the sun set at that exact moment, and the battle was finished for the day. But still, that impression of Lord running towards him was deeply impressed in his mind. So the final moment of his death, Bhishmadev was glorifying this Krishna's quality of being well-wisher of his devotees, especially Arjuna. And of course, Arjuna is the best example how Krishna can become one's dearest and the most intimate friend. Practically, without Krishna's help, it wouldn't be possible for Arjuna to kill so many soldiers and to survive the battle of Kurukshetra, because there were present so many great warriors, and without Krishna's protection and help, it just wouldn't be possible physically for Arjuna. And that was not the only time that Arjuna was saved. He was saved also, if you remember the past time when Mahavishnu stole the sons of Brahmanas in Dwaraka, and Arjuna, he happened to hear his lamentation, so he promised that he will protect his next son, or he will go into the fire. So that day came that the Brahmana's wife delivered a child, and immediately the child disappeared. Although Arjuna shielded the house with the shield of arrows, with divine astras, still the child disappeared. So Arjuna, he wanted to fulfill his promise and to enter the fire. But Krishna said, no, let's go and fight those children. He saved him from entering the fire. So the value of friendship is the most obvious when your friend is not present anymore. Similarly, Arjuna appreciated very much that relationship that he had with the Lord after Lord Krishna departed. If you remember, Maharaj Yudhishthir, he noticed many inauspicious signs in the sky, on the earth, that indicated that Kali Yuga had started. So he was discussing with his younger brother Bhimasen when Arjuna arrived. And they both noticed that Arjuna was very, very dejected and very depressed. So Maharaj Yudhishthira, he asked many speculative questions. What happened? Did somebody defeat you? Did your honor was blemished in some way or other? Many questions he asked him. In the end, he concluded that the only reason that you could be so dejected is that your friend Krishna has left you. And then Arjuna admits, and he remembers all those moments during his life that he had with the Krishna. And then he lists all these encounters and Krishna's help in all these moments. He says, only by his mercy I was able to win Draupadi. Only by his mercy I was able to conquer Indra. Also, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Hari, who treated me exactly like an intimate friend, has left me alone. Thus my astounding power have left me. And I have lost him in whose separation for a moment would render all the universes unfavorable and void like bodies without life. So only by his merciful strength I was able to vanquish all the lusty princes assembled in the palace of King Drupada. Because he was near me, I was able to conquer with the great dexterity the powerful king of heaven, Indradev, along with his demigod associates, and thus enable fire god to devastate the Khandava forest. Only by his mercy and help, your respectable brother Bhimasen, who possessed the strength of 10,000 elephants, killed Jarasandha, who was worshipped by so many kings. Only because of him, it was he who loosened the hair of all the wives of the miscreants who dared to open the cluster of your queen's hair that had been nicely dressed and sanctified during the Rajasuya sacrifice. It was Krishna who saved them when Durvasa Muni with his 10,000 disciples came there and was about to come for lunch. But Krishna came there and asked for little food that was stuck at the bottom of the pot. And as a result of that, Durvasa Muni left and they were saved from his wrath. Only by his influence, Arjuna was able to astonish the personality of Godhead, Lord Shiva, and his wife, Parvati, and to satisfy Shiva in battle. And as a result, Lord Shiva gave him all divine weapons. Only by his grace, Arjuna was able to reach the heaven in the self-same body. and to help the demigods in the fight of Nivatakavachas, the demons. And the military strength of the Kauravas was like a vast ocean in which dwelled many sharks and other amazing entities that could not be defeated. But because of Krishna's friendship, he was able to cross it. He was the one who withdrew the life of everyone from the battlefield just by his glance. Great generals like Bhishma, Drona, Karna, Bhurishrava, they all directed their weapons against Arjuna, but because of Krishna, they couldn't harm him. Not even a hair on his head they couldn't harm. Only by his mercy, his enemies neglected to kill him when he descended to chariot to get the water for his thirsty horses. And Arjuna then remembers their daily life together with Krishna. He says, Narman yudhara ruchira smita shobithani, he partha he Arjuna sakhe kuru nandaneti. O king, his joking and frank talks were pleasing and beautifully decorated with smiles. His addresses unto me as, O son of Pritha, O friend, O son of Kuru dynasty, he partha he Arjuna sakhe kuru nandaneti. And all such dealings were touching my heart, and now I remember them, and thus I'm completely overwhelmed. Generally, both of us used to live together, sleep together on the same bed, sit and loiter together. At that time, sometimes we were advertising, he was advertising himself for acts of chivalry, and sometimes if there was some irregularity, I used to reproach him by saying, Oh my friend, you are very truthful, Arjuna used to say to Krishna. So in these hours, although his value was minimized, he being the Supreme Soul used to tolerate all those utterings of mine, excusing me exactly as a true friend excuses his true friend, or father excuses son. O Emperor, now I am separated from him, from my friend, the dearmost well-wisher, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, and therefore my heart appears to be void of everything. In his absence I have been defeated by some infidel cowherd man, while I was guarding the bodies of the wives of Krishna. So as soon as Krishna left, all Arjuna's power also left him. But he remembered the teachings of the Lord given in Bhagavad Gita, and this verse gave him strength, and he regained again his composure. So similarly, we can say Lord is also not present our days. So what is left for us here now? What is left for us? Srimad Bhagavatam is left for us. Krishna is personally present on the pages of Bhagavatam. The Lord comes to inspire us to establish some loving relationship with Him. And that's why He comes and performs these beautiful, charming pastimes to evoke our dormant love for Him. He is the only one who can be perfect master, perfect friend, perfect son, parent, and lover. So He exhibits these pure, loving dealings devoid of any duplicity. He exhibits this loving exchange with His eternal associates in order to inspire us, because He wants us to be part of these pastimes. So for that reason, He left us Srimad Bhagavatam and other Shastras that describe His pastimes. And He left us also His holy name, which is non-different from Him. So every day we can associate with this, with the Krishna personal in the form of His holy name, Abhinatam Nama Namino. So our chanting is a personal communication with Him. It should not be just some mechanical exercise or meditation, but should be outpouring of heart, with emotion, prayer to the Lord, to be in His presence, to be connected with Him, and to return to our loving relationship with Him. So this hearing and chanting has great, great power, and we should take advantage of it. in order to awaken our dormant bhakti rasa, whatever rasa it may be. And Lord is waiting for us. He's been waiting since time immemorial. So you might ask how it will look like once we make it, and go back to spiritual world. How it will look like when we go back. Sanatana Goswami described this very nicely in Brihad Bhagavatamrita in the story of Gopakumar. Gopakumar, he went many places searching for the Lord, heavenly planets, Vaikuntha, Ayodhya, Dwaraka. But in none of these places he was completely satisfied. And then on advice of Narada Muni, from Dwaraka, in the spiritual world, he goes back to Vrindavan Dham, on this earth, to Rajamandala. And there, what does he do? He performs Nama Sankirtana. He chants the Lord's holy names and meditates about the Lord's pastimes. And by the power of this chanting and meditation, at one moment, Krishna appears to him. He has a spurti of Krishna. He tries to catch him, stretching his hand, trying to catch his yellow dhoti, but Krishna disappears. And Gopakumar, he falls in the Yamuna, unconscious. And that moment, the Vimana, the vehicle from spiritual world, comes and carries him very, very fast, passing by all the heavenly planets, passing by Vaikuntha, passing Ayodhya, passing Dwaraka, and he lands where? In Mathura, in spiritual world. And he looks around where he is. He comes back to his senses from his ecstatic swoon, and he looks around, and everything there looks practically almost the same as in Mathura, on this planet. People, buildings, landscape, almost the same. He cannot find much difference. So he's a little confused. Am I back to earth, or I'm in Goloka? And then also he hears some rumors that Kamsa is the ruler of Mathura, and that all the Yadus, they fled away, and that Kamsa imprisoned his father Ugrasen, and also Vasudeva and Devaki. So Gopakumar, he takes bath at Vishramghat, and fastly he proceeds towards the Vrindavan, because he knows he's a Brijbasi, he knows the way towards the Vrindavan, whether it's in the Goloka or Gokula. So he goes, and on the way he sees some cowherd men and women, elderly women and men, and they're picking up some flowers. So he approaches them, he wants to ask them for direction, he wants to ask them who is the king of this area here. So with the plaintive cries, he asks them, but there's no reply. None of them reply. So he asks them second time, third time, louder, because he thinks maybe they are a little deaf. But then he realizes that they're not deaf. Just their minds are completely absorbed in something else. They're completely absent-minded. Somebody stole their mind. And then he realizes that he is dear Krishna who stole their mind. Eventually he comes and he meets some elderly man sitting in front of the Nanda Maharaj's village, sitting there. And finally this elderly man, he tells him, this is Nanda Maharaj's village. And he asks, so where is Nanda Nandana? Oh, Nanda Nandana, he went to the forest. He will return later in the afternoon. He's herding cows with his cowherd boyfriends. So Gopakumar sits there in front of the Nanda Maharaj's village, waiting for Krishna to return. And then after some time, in the distance, he hears the sound of the flute. By hearing this sound, he notices that the residents of that village start coming out and running towards where the sound is coming from. And then slowly he notices the big cloud of dust on the horizon coming closer and closer. Then he sees cows. Then he sees cowherd boys. And then he sees Krishna. And Krishna sees him. And what do? They started running towards each other. Krishna is running towards him. Gopkumar is running towards his beloved Krishna. And they meet and embrace. And they both faint in ecstatic trance. Gopkumar is on the ground. Krishna is also on the ground. Gopkumar, he regains his consciousness very fast. And he stands up and sees Krishna lying on the ground. And although he is unconscious, Krishna is unconscious, tears are flowing like rivers, streams from his eyes, and he is mudding the ground. And all of the residents of Vrindavan, they gathered around two of them, and they start crying because they were very disturbed that Krishna is now unconscious. And they think, who is this newcomer here? Did he harm our Krishna? At that moment, Balaram comes and he understands the situation. So he tells Gopkumar, you come, you embrace Krishna, and very loudly you chant his holy names. Chant Krishna, Govinda. So Gopkumar embraces Krishna and calls him very loudly by his name. And after some time, Krishna regains his consciousness. And by seeing Gopkumar again, he embraces him very tightly and holds him on his bosom, and then inquires from him. He calls him Sarup. He recognizes him. So in the same way, Krishna is also waiting for us to come back to him. And we are in the right place where we can perform spiritual sadhana that will return us back to Goloka Vrindavan. And that's chanting of the holy names and hearing about Krishna's pastimes. So I will stop here if there are any comments or questions. Otherwise, we'll end up now. Thank you very much. Srimad Bhagavatam ki jai, Shri Krishna Janmashtami ki jai. Hare Krishna.